This is Bob Pompiani, and this is the press conference for Coach Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're opening up for questioning right now. Yeah, Coach Mike, what happened in the run defense game? Well, first of all, we have reasonable expectations for us to do better in the run game. It's a division of labor between 11 men on the field. Significant things happen in between, such as Nick Chubb running all over us. Big gains that shouldn't have happened. Even afterwards, his backup came in. Ford did a great job on the ground, but that's, we got to make the plays and be most advantageous when given the opportunities. We didn't do that. We didn't do enough of that. And that was to me, that was our biggest problem. Obviously, let me be clear, we've got to overcome those things. But a win is a win, and we're not going to apologize for winning. Next question. Yeah, Mike, what about the injuries? It doesn't get any easier on the injury front. We have plenty of people that were nicked up, hit, hurt during the game. But we fought back. We did the best that we possibly could, I think. And like I said, there's catastrophic injuries to other teams, such as Nick Chubb. We're more worried about him than our own players at this point. We are competitors. Let me turn my attention to my own team. There's a delicate balance in between people getting hurt and people not playing well. There's a lot of intangibles that go on systematically, and it's put to much attention. Gunner got his head knocked off. Concussion. I don't know when he'll be back or if he'll be back. Made a bad decision on the kick return game. That's something in game that we've got to work on. But like I always say, it's a game of attrition, and we can't play on a JV level, so to speak. It's all about execution. I believe strongly the focus on that is getting better. And we're not living in our fears. We got the best fan base, and they were behind us. And like I said, it's a game of attrition, and we just got to play harder, but not so hard to the point where we get hurt up and beat up, because that's what we got. We got beat up and hurt up. But at the end of the day, the scoreboard told the whole story. Next question. What about the Gunner injury? I believe I spoke about that. I'm not going to repeat myself. What about JPJ? What about him? What's the question? Is there a question? What about JPJ? He didn't play enough. Well, as a coaching staff, we'll decide who plays enough and who gets enough play. For someone to play enough, they have to play a lot and a little at the same time in the middle to be able to assess, so to speak, how much and when does a player play. And that's completely up to my coaching staff and myself. And at this point, we believe JPJ, Joey Porter Jr., is a young player, a player that we want to get into a motion, into a rhythm of sorts, and we'll decide when and how that happens. But that doesn't happen right now. Next question. What about Levi Wallace? Is there a question? He didn't play well. Is there a question? Do you think that Levi Wallace played well? As far as Levi, I believe that Levi could do a lot better job when put in situations. We looked at some options at corner. Desmond King, for no reason, he's sitting on the inactive list. I don't quite know why I didn't put him in at this point, because our corners look quite horrible at this point. It's unacceptable the way that they're playing. But once I figure out some type of scheme or schematics as far as how we'll go about using defensive backs in their division of labor, then we'll unleash hell on the NFL. What about Kenny? Do you think he should have been passing as much? In hindsight, I look back at it now, and maybe Kenny should not have been passing that much. Pittsburgh Steelers, let's just be honest, we're known for ground and pound, running the ball. And I don't believe we ran the ball enough or to our liking, so to speak. And that's something we've been working on in practice, and I think you'll see more of that, more running the ball. We're going to have to try to run over people like Nick Chubb and Ford were running over us last week, and Christian McCaffrey previous, who's a great running back, by the way. I wish I had on this team. What about Matt Canada? There's a lot of talk about Matt Canada getting fired. I'm not firing Matt Canada. I don't think my boss, Mr. Rooney, I have to laugh, not to cry. I don't believe my boss, Mr. Rooney, is trying to fire Matt Canada. I mean, we're talking about 8 quarters of NFL football. We've only completed 2 games. Last time I checked, it's an 18-week season. Okay, it's 17 games within a season. We've only played 2. So it's too early to talk about firing Matt Canada. We don't fire people around here. We hire people. We hire and we don't fire. And we admire. We admire, never fire, always hire. And I'm behind Matt Canada. You know, he's a good friend of mine, and I believe that Matt Canada is going to do a great job. A lot of that falls on my lap as far as what I need to do. Man, I don't take that for granted that we have Matt Canada. I'm just glad to have him here. We have Glenn Thomas is the passing coordinator specialist. I don't know what he's been specializing in lately, but it's not in completing balls. We got to get better plays called, but at the same time, you can't open up the playbook, but also much because we have a lot of new players on deck, so to speak. And it doesn't matter what you call if Kenny keeps throwing the ball 5 seconds and 5 feet behind each eligible receiver, we'll never get ahead and we'll never move the ball. Next question. Another question about Matt Canada. Is he going to be fired? I believe I just answered that question. You need to maybe clean your ears out, something, get some peroxide, put it in your eardrums or something, because I believe I've said that already. In particular, we're talking about fluidity and rhythm. Individually and collectively, we have reasonable expectations to do better in the passing game as well as the running game and take advantage of the most advantageous advantages to be adventurous. The procedures and layers in terms of the no blink approach that we have, we will continue to find and define that at a point where it doesn't get any easier. As far as concussion protocol, like I said before previously, Gunner is in that. Any other questions? Hopefully not about Matt Canada. We're preparing for the Las Vegas Raiders. Coach Mike, you think we have a good chance of beating the Raiders? As far as chances, it's all dealing with mathematics and logic and all kinds of other things that go in between, behind, and forward and above things. And we've made big acquisitions, and you got to look at the intangibles. There's a delicate balance that turns my attention to specifically the Raiders, who are in Las Vegas right now. Previously, and I believe Oakland, and before that, Las Vegas, and previous to that, they were in Oakland. They've been around. They've moved around. They're transitional, just like our passing game and our defense is transitional. We go into different reads, different groupings, and you'll see a lot of substitution in and out if you want to get on the defense talk. I know no one asked, but I feel like talking about defense. Okay, when we speak about defense, what do you think about the 90-watt light bulb? TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, who doesn't hit people illegally. We respect Minka around here. We love TJ Watt, but Highsmith is getting the job done. That's the 1-2 punch that'll punch other teams out if we move concurrently and consistently. Consistency is the glue that keeps us together, and this is crazy glue, not that monkey stuff. What about Jimmy Garoppolo? Do you think he poses a problem towards the Steelers defense? There's 32 starting quarterbacks, including ours, except for ours is 31. And last time I checked, that they're all grown men at the end of the day. All these quarterbacks can pose a problem to us if we don't do what we need to do, and we have to have the schemes and schematics down, and the transitions and everything involved has to be congruent to what we're doing, so we don't have to worry about if a team's throwing or passing all over us. We made big acquisitions in stadium, and we have a familiarity that we can't take for granted with the offenses around this league, especially the Raiders, who always give us a tough time. We don't ever seem to win on West Coast trips out there. I believe the statistic is not since 1995 when Bill Carroll was here. He was young. He was a young man. It's the last time we beat the Raiders, so I have no expectations of us beating them out there unless we play 100% the type of game we're supposed to play with fluidity. Next question. What about Josh McDaniels? Is he a good coach or is he a bum? I don't call anyone a bum. When I look at the word bum per se, I look at bum as a brother under modification, and we're all under modification in some way in life, in football and coaching per se. When you think about the defensive side of the ball, we have to do a solid job of minimizing mistakes. We have ascended within that group, within the defensive group, and I think, let me be clear, we have to do better and have a no-blink approach and continue to find the significant ways to make plays. That's the main thing when it comes to the defense. As far as the offense, I would like it to be like the preseason where we average 27 points per game and unleash hell on the NFL defenses, but we don't always get what we want in life. What do you think about the road trip, Mike? I like road trips. I take them with my family, with Mike Jr., Dino, my wife. No, as far as the going out to Oakland, Las Vegas. Do you think it's a long trip? Do you leave earlier? Where do you practice? Well, we practice wherever we can. We'll practice in a hotel, a motel, a Holiday Inn. If your girl starts acting up, then you bring a friend. And if you do bring a friend, make sure that they don't travel with the team because it's against league rules. And Commissioner Roger Goodell more than likely will call me about that, and I don't need him calling me. He can text me, but I don't want him to call. And we've got to gain rhythm and individually and collectively. And it's a strong division of labor, what we do as far as traveling. And some like to drive, per se. Some like to get on a bus. Some take a train. Others take a plane. Most of us take a plane. The NFL wants us to all be on the same plane, but we don't always make it out there like that. But as long as we make it in time for curfew and for the team meeting, then I have no problem with that. Any other questions? Thank you. Well, that's it. This is Bob Pompiani, and we're going to close out for the this week's press conference with Coach Mike Tomlin. And wish us luck. Pittsburgh Steelers for life. Next trip, week 3. Las Vegas Raiders.